on?
Just about. Yep. Hello, everybody. It's Pearlo Wisdom Time, the NHL Pearlo Wisdom Show, coming to you live from the Seattle apartment.
Well, not quite
Yeah.
all of the Seattle apartment there, but yeah, man, how y'all doing?
It's good, man. Good. Well, sort of good.
Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah. Well, it's it's pretty crappy to be a fan of two teams equally, and both of them suck. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, but if you're not necessarily a fan of those two teams, then it was a good weekend then, right?
I suppose, yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Now get like that on me now.
Oh, that was just disgusting.
Some of it, yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
That like that. Just watching that is. Anyways, there'll be a. We'll see what happens the third game or fourth game or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, man. We actually had some. We actually got to see some series end this past weekend, and I'm assuming that's what you're referring to as to why you didn't necessarily have a great weekend per se.
Well, Oilers, yeah, it's just brutal.
Ah, man. So you want to talk about them first? Is that where
Let's.
you want to go there first? We can.
I guess the first thing we'll go to is probably the biggest one is Kadri, you know, doing appealing his 8-game suspension, and
good luck with that.
oh, he'll probably get it. He's not only appealing it, he's going to lawyers outside of the league. So somebody will probably say something that says this isn't legal, and he'll get like a couple games because they're going to go precedent, and then he'll get a couple games instead of 8.
Yeah, but his last suspension was 6 for the same exact thing. Yeah.
Welcome, maybe even if he gets 2 off.
Yeah, but if you get 6 for doing the same thing,
yeah, it's going to be.
And then you do it again.
I don't know what the other what the other one. You could actually make a case there was more intent, but I don't know. I don't know. It seems pretty crazy to me that you would just take your lumps and move on, right?
I mean, seriously, what are you going to appeal? The fact that you didn't do it? I mean,
no, I don't think that. Of course, no.
What are you trying to appeal there? You know what I mean? Like what? It's there for everybody to see. I don't understand. What's there to appeal? I mean, he's trying to get less games, obviously, but dude, for real, like I could understand if it was like an incidental kind of thing, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
You know what I
like
mean?
okay, I'll make a case here. I don't think he meant to hit him up in the head and stuff like that. I don't think so at all. I think his intention was to catch him in the chest. But the problem is with that I mean, back in the 90s, that was a move that people did all the time. You take him out at the chest. But
Okay.
nowadays, that's not allowed. You don't even go there is what we're trying to say, right? You don't even go there. You got to take him low there, and that's really what it is. And I doubt he was very doing that, but you got to take him low there. Simple as that. I mean, I don't know. You can go find some sort of precedent in the past that the same sort of hit, blah 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 blah, and probably some lawyer will do it and spin it in a certain way or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. Once you start bringing outside lawyers in, you never know what they can do.
Anything that involves outside lawyers.
Yeah.
When you just saying that,
Yeah.
right? The connotations of saying that is like, yeah, that's not going to end well. Look, they, I just don't understand what it is about these guys that are habitual offenders and then they try to act like they're not.
No, they're just
Okay?
trying to get the punishment, whatever they can, or whatever. Yeah, lessened or whatever. Yeah. I
Well,
don't
you know
even know
what?
if he believes that he shouldn't get an 8 or whatever. All he cares about is getting as less time as possible. That's it.
I understand that. Okay. And the team is like, I can't believe that you're going to be out for 8 games and, everything else like that. But here it is. The situation is that he basically put his team down a man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And no matter how you slice that, I don't care if it's for 6 or 8 games, they still put him down a man. Okay. And when you start removing cogs out of a team and you start having to replace them with different gears, that makes the machine a little different. You know what I mean? And when you start plugging in different players that haven't played or that, because they're used to him playing, even though he's not a huge contributor and, whatever, he's still part of that team. He's still part of that makeup.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you start taking those pieces out and start plugging guys in, now it's a little bit of a different situation. You know what I mean? So I don't think he should even be given the opportunity. As a habitual offender of this particular rule or of this particular offense, I think you should just take your punishment and just be thankful that you didn't get a ban on the league altogether.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, then of course he would appeal that, obviously. So.
Well, yeah, but still.
This is a precedent that he is setting now. That, I mean, where is the league going to go with this? When you start bringing outside lawyers into to do what they're doing. I mean, I'm sure he's paying the best that he can get, right? But just weird because I would say that it's almost going to cost him the same amount of money. So this isn't even about money. This is about him wanting to get back in the lineup again. It's going to cost him the same amount of money, if not more, to pay lawyers to fight this. So it's not even about money here. He's just trying to get it shortened to 6 games or 5 games or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever about money anyway, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't necessarily about that, but look, I'm sorry, but I don't have any feelings for this particular issue here. The feelings that I have are you did the crime, now you have to do the time. Okay, that's what my feelings are on this.
It's the same as in the world. It's all relative to what the time is that you get and what lawyer pays you and gives you whatever time it is that you get. And if he's willing to go outside like that, then I mean it's legally he's allowed to do what he's doing. So.
And so
now the onus here could be on Colorado to say we don't really like this idea too much or something like that. Colorado could come out and say we're not really supporting him going outside to do this. He did the thing and the league did what they think. But they're not. They're not saying that. They're not coming out and saying we don't like this. They might, this actually makes Colorado look bad. And this actually would be probably why Toronto decided to let him go.
Well, I mean, he did this while he was in Toronto as well, too. And cost them time because he was out due to suspension during the playoffs. You know what I mean? So that's exactly why they probably got rid of him. You know what I mean? Why would you want to keep a player that's going to habitually do that kind of thing?
Wow, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm coming back to on this whole thing. It would be one thing if this was only his first or second offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But this guy has got a rap sheet, right? I saw the list of stuff that this guy has gotten against him since like 2014 or 15.
Yep.
Right? And it's a rather long laundry list of things, suspensions and fines. Okay? So that to me is a habitual player that obviously hasn't learned his bloody lesson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if you're going outside and getting a lawyer in order to do what you're doing is a guy who is thinking not the way he should be thinking as well. So, but the fact of the matter is the option is out there and he's going to use it and we'll see what happens. Personally, if it was me, if I was Colorado on this, I would say you can go get your lawyer, but we're sticking with what the league says. So you're suspended from Colorado for 2 games. Whatever you get, you can't play anyways.
So you're saying that's what Colorado should do?
That would be something. If Colorado actually showed some balls and said, you know, we don't agree with what Kadri did either. It's not part of our organizational philosophy to do something like this. He should have went low. Wouldn't it be awesome to see some teams have some balls in this situation and go, what's right is what's right? And this, we all know we're not supposed to be hitting high in those situations. Kadri did it. He has a background. He is our player, but we don't support this by anybody, including our own players. Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be a serious breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
that would be. Do you know what? And is Joe Sakic the one to be that guy?
I don't see why he wouldn't. Didn't Joe Sakic play? Didn't Joe Sakic play for what's his name that got destroyed by Stevens? Korea. I think he played with Korea. If I remember correctly, didn't Korea play for Colorado for a short time? Somebody in there tell me if he did. And you see that. And that's what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to save people's careers. And, yeah, I mean, it would be a breath of fresh air. Even Toronto, like, they traded him off to someone else. But even when that happened then, if they would have been a little more vocal about it and said, you know, we don't agree with this and stuff like that, especially with a lot of the things that Toronto has been vocal about, you could have been more vocal about this.
You know, it's kind of amazing, but these kinds of players continually get to come into the league and play because aside from their questionable past or whatever the case is, a lot of these guys bring some value to teams that they don't normally have, like that grit, like that snarl, that, you know what I mean? And let's face it, you need that in this day and age in the NHL. You know what I'm saying? And if you have one of those guys on your team, you're thankful that he's on your team. And if you're playing against him, you're like, man, he's the most hated guy on the planet. Because you don't want to play against him because he's the pest, he's the, you know what I mean? But you need one of those guys on your team. And now he's stepped over the line, you know what I mean? And now it's like, well, are you going to throw him under the bus? Or because you brought him in to be that particular kind of player, now he was that kind of player, but he stepped over the line.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You see what I mean?
It's a tough balance. But
it is, because now you see other teams do that. Like, I mean, that's exactly that's what I'm talking about. Toronto had him, and he got suspended for doing exactly the same bloody thing. And they traded him away.
Mm-hmm.
And they got some value from him. And they got something for him, and they're like, hey, man, we got rid of this guy. We don't have to worry about it. Now the next schmo is going to have to, or the next team's going to have to worry about it. Well, you know, he's out there taking guys' heads off. I mean, is Falk going to be back anytime soon? What's the word on him?
Oh, he's out for a while. He's got
right.
a concussion for sure.
He's toasted. Okay, because of some idiot.
Yeah, you know me, I'm usually on the side of the offender. You know, I try to take the side of the offender. In fact, when Kadri made his mistakes before, I was not necessarily totally on his side, but if you looked at the team in Toronto, there was nobody else that was going to do the dirty work for that club. Nobody. So this little Kadri guy who just happens to be feisty, he's going up against guys way bigger than him, and he's scared. Like he's protecting himself in fear because he's doing the things that somebody has to, and he's the only one to do it. I defended him up until that point, but
I see what you're saying.
You see what I mean? Like if you go up to somebody way bigger than you, or if you're in the mix and playing like that, and a guy is there, it's just natural instinct for you to put your arms up to protect yourself because you know you're going to get pummeled, right?
Okay.
In which case you're going to hit somebody the wrong way. But
all right, I'm with you.
But this one in particular was not that. First of all, the guy that was hitting was Falk. You don't need to be afraid of Falk.
And he wasn't even looking at him.
Yeah, he was just trying to take Falk out of the play, as you would in that situation. The only way you can do that is take that low, though. To have your hands up like he was and do what he did is inexcusable. That's the rest of those things you can make a case that it's actually Toronto's fault, who then has decided to get some guys in the lineup that can do that sort of thing, right? You can make a case that it wasn't fair for him to be able to have that role for his size. You could make that case. That's not excusing the fact that he did what he did. But this one in particular was absolutely nothing you can do to support what he did. Because every player knows you can't go high in that spot.
Which is why he should just shut up and take his medicine and deal with it.
In this one, I would have to agree. For the benefit of your organization and yourself.
League all the way.
Exactly. But, all right, let's move on from that because I think we're... Sakic didn't mind...
That's beating a dead horse, I think.
Sakic didn't mind cheap shots in the past. Claude Lemieux. They had... Claude Lemieux was a cheap shot artist, but Detroit had their fair share. I guess that was brutal. But Claude Lemieux was one of the worst, for sure. No doubt about it.
I don't know, man. I think there's a guy there that played in New Jersey that was pretty
Stevens,
pretty brutal.
We had one in Philadelphia. Yeah. Clark.
Yeah, but Clark was a little dude, though.
I don't care what you say. The guy was
I know, but I mean, all things considered, to have it come from that diminutive guy.
So Kadri's not that big either.
I know, but back then, to have somebody doing it at his size was completely unheard of.
Well, look at who we had backing him up, though. That's a little.
Yeah.
He can go run behind Schultz and all of those guys. Well, Schultze was a little bit.
Because that's exactly. He didn't even have to run and hide behind him.
Which makes
those guys
more
were
bratty.
just out there. Yeah, you didn't have to worry about that. But at any rate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the guys like that.
It's a different game now, and even back then, you still didn't see that kind of. I mean, it wasn't as prevalent back then as it is now, where you're seeing guys do these dumb things.
No, because you get your crap kicked out of you. That's what I'm talking about. The reason, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, there's no repercussions for this, right? Now, the one thing that I have to give props to is that after that incident happened, there was a fight where St. Louis and Colorado, they both dropped the gloves, and there was a fight after that incident. Okay? And after that, it was done. There was no more issues. There was no more, you know what I mean? That was it. The fight happened because of that whole issue. After that, it was done.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to keep that in the game, because it helps to police the other players.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that, they look at it and go, oh, it's so ultra violent. These guys are hitting each other and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, would you much rather them swinging sticks at each other? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, the whole point of the matter was, coming out of the 90s, what was starting to be is that, it was, it's barbaric. You think you need to do this and you need to do, it's the game, all right? It is the game. Fighting is the game. It's part of the game. You're never taking it out. You're never taking it out. People hitting, physicality, fighting, and all of that stuff like that, it's all part and parcel of the game. You take one out, it's not hockey anymore.
Could you imagine if you allowed this kind of behavior in the NHL or the NFL?
Yeah, but I mean, yes, and Lauren said there was a lot of concussions in the past, but that's because there wasn't a lot. I mean, what Stevens and those guys were doing was ridiculous.
Plus there was a lot of guys. Yeah, I agree with you 100% because I watched a team get decimated because of what Stevens did. Mm-hmm. But there was also a change in the helmet.
Hey, CO.
And there was also a change because when guys were falling and getting their legs taken out, and they were hitting the ice with their head, but their head would bounce off the ice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those were a lot of the other issues as well too, where now if you're a player and you're wearing your helmet and you suddenly find yourself with your feet being taken out and you're now hitting the ice with your head first, you have a much better chance of not having a concussion after that impact than you would, say, back in the 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
Because of the technology of the helmets and things like that.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of things that changed. They had to adapt because the game just got faster. The game was faster in the 70s. They were in the 60s and 80s and 70s and so on and so forth. And shots got harder, sticks got better, everything.
Yeah.
We all had to.
Players got faster.
We all had
Although I do have a question about a couple of things, though. Who thought that it was a great idea to make elbow pads and knee pads out of really hard plastic?
Players.
Okay.
Players thought it was a good idea, and there was no restrictions on it. So they told their provider, I want to protect my elbow, and I want it to be a weapon.
So you get where I'm going with that, right?
So then they had to make adjustments in that. Look at the goaltending. Look in the 90s. Check out the goaltending equipment. My gosh. Arthur's Herbe looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, for the love of God.
Yeah, he did.
It was crazy.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, though, is that you can't have that kind of equipment like that because you're hurting your players.
Yeah, the players are hurting the players. The players hurt themselves.
That's what I mean.
By doing these sort of things. So
that's what I mean.
That's one thing would be it's a balance that they've been trying to fight with, because back in the days when there was all this fighting and all that kind of stuff like that, you say, well, there was a level of respect. Sort of. There was some level of not respect too, and it was a war. It really was a war. And there was lines you can't be driven. There was lines back then that if you crossed them, your own team would beat the crap out of you. Okay, if you did something really stupid on the ice to somebody that could hurt them, after the game they would beat you up. But
but there was an understanding back then, though, Pearlo. There was an understanding because guys played with no helmets.
Yeah.
Goalies played with
way back. Yeah.
Yeah, goalies even played with no helmets. I mean, they had guys that were not wearing helmets all the way up into the 80s.
Yeah.
Okay.
McTavish,
right, being one of the last ones, right? Okay, so there was that unspoken rule that was, look, you don't go for the guy's head.
Yeah.
Okay, everything else was fair game, but you don't go for their head.
Yeah, it was totally different. I don't know how more people didn't get hurt. Not because the speed of the game was different, the shots were different, people kept the puck down lower, which is why goalies started going down in the butterfly. Because people were keeping the puck down lower because you don't want to throw at people's heads and stuff like that. Now, when they started going on the butterfly, now they're going high. Look how many people are getting injured, hit in the face, hitting the shoulders, hitting everything now. Because, Weber and guys like this with 100 and some mile an hour slap shots are shooting high. Back in the day, you'd never do that. You would never do that. So, there you go.
You're exactly what you're talking about. I remember a particular goalie named Roman Cechmanek. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time he ever made a save off of his bean. Right, and the announcer said that was a cranium carom, right? Dubbed it that, right? And he actually was doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Well, now, that was very rare that you saw a puck to a goalie's head, and when you did, usually the goalie would be there for a couple of minutes, and there was a stoppage in play, and they were making sure everything was okay and everything like that. Nowadays, you see goalies take pucks off their head on a regular basis. Now, it's going to happen at least once a game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like before it was a rarity. Now it's happening once a game at least.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Knocking the helmets right off their heads. And Lauren says they block lots more shots now. Absolutely. Teams block more shots now, and they're blocking shots that are ridiculous. Like, if I was a hockey player now, I'd be wearing ankle guards for sure. I don't care how uncool it looks. You're gonna break your ankle and be out for how long? I'm wearing ankle guards.
Just because you get hit by, yeah, I'm with you. See, but that's what I'm talking about. See, there's a level of protecting the player against those pucks, which I'm all for. Okay, but you don't have a pad where there is a big piece of hard plastic that sticks out past the hard.
They got rid of that.
Sticks out past the pad. Right.
They got rid of that pretty quick. Yeah.
So you need to be able to put that inside of some padding, so that you can provide the protection for pucks that are being thrown at you.
Yeah.
That are, that they're, because the guys are blocking shots now more and things like that. You know what I mean? And you put more of that kind of protection out there for the player, but you can't leave that hard plastic exposed.
No, they're not allowed to do that anymore. It's illegal, and players don't do it anymore. Whoever was doing it before, I don't think they realized the impact of what was going to be. And you can say a lot of, like, Don Cherry was the one that really pointed that out. He came right out on one of his broadcasts and took one of the elbow pads and had wood there and smacked it against the wood and said, tell me that should be, right? And after that, he was the one that really pioneered those out of there. Anyways, we should probably get to these series too, right?
There's been a little bit of hockey that's been played, huh?
Yeah, I don't even know if we'll get into individual games as much as we'll just talk about the series that are going on so far and how things are going, because we've had a couple days here to kind of let it all digest. And then we'll talk about the games that happened that are going to be happening as well. But the first one we'll get into, I guess. We're going to talk about. We'll just talk about them all. Let's start with the one that's over, I guess.
Well, there's a couple that are over now, but yeah, whichever one you want to start with, my man, we can go with either one.
Which one? Oh, yeah, the St. Louis one, and so that's right, St. Louis, and okay, we'll start with the Boston-Washington series. I got lucky and nailed that one in 5, because I got lucky because if I would have known Samsonov was going to come in and play, I wouldn't have did that. I wouldn't have picked that. It was only because Vanacek and Anderson were the only ones I thought were going to be in the series.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I had Boston picked all the way.
Yeah,
I had him picked in 5 as well too. And one of the main reasons, and I said this during the stream last night with the GOAT, I had to be on with him for that because he was calling the game as his Boston team was winning. But Washington they came into the playoffs sluggish. They weren't playing their best. Ovechkin was in and out of the lineup. Kuznetsov or whatever was not really available, and or whatever the case was. And so, I mean, they were kind of not coming into the playoffs on their best foot. Whereas Boston came into the playoffs on fire, playing really well since the trade deadline, the whole 9 yards, you know what I mean, and doing and playing really well. Mm-hmm. So I really didn't have a lot of faith in what Washington was doing, especially after the first 2 games of the series, because Ovechkin wasn't a part of it. Oshie wasn't a part of it. Just Washington just wasn't there. Their big names didn't step up. They didn't have the goals. 2 or 3 points for Ovechkin, 2 or 3 points for Oshie. Mantha disappeared. You know what I mean? He played really well at the trade deadline until the playoffs, but he's disappeared in this series. You know what I mean? And you can't have that.
That's been the book on Mantha's whole career so far. That's why Detroit traded him. He's crazy inconsistent. When the pressure's on, you don't find him. So here he is, still doing the same. He's got some room to grow, but he's got a lot of ways to go. And then of course, with this, what I saw with this series was a team that is divided. Washington's got a team divided. They don't look like they're all on the same page at all right now. And now there's this talk, which I still haven't heard anything. I don't know if about. Apparently, Ovi's talking about going to Russia. I think that's likely a contract thing. However, up until this point, and I'm not saying this as a rumor because it's been in the news many times, he has said he will take less money to stay in Washington. He's going to take less money. So if this is a contract lean to try to get more money, it's kind of going against what he's been saying all the way up until now.
I don't think it's that, honestly. I think it's Washington needs to do a little soul searching and understand or realize, do they want to come out and give him the money, and do they want him to be part of the team moving forward? Because honestly, he's won his cup. The only thing he has left is the record, right, for goals or whatever, and that's going to still take a little while. He's still a little too far away for that.
Yeah, I don't understand either. Is what's this whole idea that he's only going to go to Washington about? Like, why? Why it's Washington or the KHL? I guess it might, unless it was family considerations, I suppose. But if let's just say that Ovechkin decides to go here, let's just look at from Washington Capitals standpoint. Where are they now? This is rebuild time, right?
I mean, you have to look at it like that because, let's face it, the Washington Capitals are one of the oldest teams in the league. Okay? And you got guys that are going to either need to be re-signed or moved on from. Okay? And I think getting Mantha in there was a good idea because that's somebody they can build on with. You know, and if he can mature, then maybe he can play a little better in the playoffs and get better in the playoffs in the future. You know what I mean? Is Laviolette going to be the coach for them moving forward? I mean, there's a lot of questions, I think, in Washington.
There's another possibility. There's another possibility. The Laviolette rubs people the wrong way, let's face it. He rubs people the wrong way a lot. I mean, he's always had a 2-year window. And this was one of the times when he had an opportunity to do what he normally does and, get everybody rallied, and it didn't happen. Is it possible that Ovechkin, they just signed him? Is it possible there's a coach-player thing going on here, and Ovechkin's basically saying it's either him or me?
If that's what's going to happen, then I guarantee you they're going to probably pick Ovechkin over Laviolette.
Absolutely. No doubt about it.
That makes the most sense if you ask me. I mean,
yeah.
You can get anybody to come in there and say, hey, Ovechkin, go play over here. Or go play, I don't know. I'm just...
Yeah, they're for sure going to stay with Ovechkin in this situation. The only other thing is they've just come to this realization that if they keep this group intact for too much longer, the rebuild's going to be absolutely disastrous. And they may be saying to Ovi now, you know what? I think we're going to have to move on. I think we're going to have to rebuild from here. Kuznetsov is a shadow of his former self. He doesn't look anything like he was before. How long is Backlund going to be able to produce at that level at his pay rate, and how much value are you going to get 2-3 years from now?
Right.
Do you have a goaltender in Samsonov that is going to be the guy here? They got so many questions asked. That defense really is not spectacular at all. It's okay. And so nobody's getting better from here on in Washington. Ovi's not going to get better next year. Kuzi's not going to get better next year. They're all on the decline now. So it's possible that ownership has said, you know what, I know we were going to do the best we could and we were thinking about moving forward and seeing if we can keep this group together, but it's possible they've just decided to rebuild. And that's why Ovi said, maybe I'll just go back to Russia then, and he loves Russia. He go home and be with his family and all that kind of stuff like that. It should be really unfortunate for the league because I would love to see him keep on going, right?
Well, you know what though? It's kind of like he's already accomplished everything over here. He's already got a Stanley Cup, so he doesn't really have to prove anything over here anymore, really. You know what I'm saying? And if a team is going to come to him and be like, yeah, we've decided to move on, and he doesn't want to play for anybody else other than Washington, then guess what? Ovechkin's going to be playing in Russia.
Yeah, I want to see these accounts or reports of him saying that he may be going to Russia first before I.
Until I see that happening.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's staying in Washington.
Until I see that happening, the grade 8 is still a capital.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if that were to happen, if I was an owner, like if they're going to rebuild, Ovi's not staying. Simple as that. And the only reason why I wouldn't stay if I were, let's put it this way, I wouldn't stay if I was Ovechkin. Why? Why would you want to stay there through a rebuild? I mean, so why would you want to stay there through a rebuild? I wouldn't want to stay there now at his stage of his career.
Well, you know what? Here's another thing too, and this is something that I think there's another team that's going to have this same issue in a few years as well too. When you talk about Washington, if you remove Ovechkin from Washington, you remove a lot of butts out of the seats. Because people come there to see Ovechkin.
Sure.
And if you tell me that they don't, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not saying that suddenly half the building's going to not be there, but you understand what I'm going with, right?
Yeah.
Ovechkin really is the face of that franchise.
Yeah.
And as he goes, they go. And if he's not the face of that franchise anymore, that's a huge name that's now missing from Washington. Okay? And that really, really removes a lot of the reason other than unless they can continue to be a good, competitive team without Ovechkin. Okay? And until they prove that, it's always going to be an Ovechkin team until he's not there anymore.
Yeah. Now, I mean, yes, they won't be able to sell tickets, but if you you've got to hold on to this core to keep them. And eventually, this core is going to be worthless. And then you're going to go through a 10-year rebuild. So how much is that going to pay out for you in the long run?
Well, I get what you're saying, but I don't think rebuilds are 10 years anymore now. Teams are doing it a lot faster.
Yeah.
And I also think too, here's another catch. The cap is going to be flat this coming year, but more than likely not after this next year because of the amount of money that the league has been able to garner with the TV contracts. Okay, so you're definitely gonna see the salary cap is gonna go up, not this coming year, but at least the next year.
Yeah.
All of this new money is now being influxed into the league, okay, and you're gonna start to see contracts go back up a little bit, I think.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I still think they're in danger if they go too much longer here of not being able to get very much for the assets that they have. And and if that's the case, then teams don't go through long rebuilds now because they realize sooner they got to rebuild. Or they do things like Chicago did. They do things like Chicago did and pretend they're not rebuilding to their players.
Yeah.
And, when they are.
Yeah,
and,
right.
It's quite obvious to anybody who knows what they're doing that they're obviously rebuilding. And they're keeping their players. That's what I wanted Philadelphia to do. I wanted them not to tell anybody they're rebuilding. Just keep on going. Everybody try to win, but you can't because you don't have a good enough. So you can teach the new guys, the young guys that you're bringing up, how to win. And then after a while, they'll figure it out and say, hey, you didn't tell us we were rebuilding. Oops. Sorry.
I like how you're going with that, man. I like how you're going with that, but yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, that's what they could, I suppose, sort of do that in Washington, but they got too many guys. Like, they have too many guys that are getting anyways,
long in the tooth. Too many guys long in the tooth. But hey, how about that? Boston moving on. And now they're going to have a couple of days rest because the Pittsburgh and the Islanders series, which is all tied up now at 2, right? That series there has been very surprising. Okay, with Pittsburgh being the number 1 seed and the Islanders being the 4th seed, and with the Islanders not playing Pittsburgh very well throughout the season, and then have suddenly, played really much better games here against Pittsburgh now in the playoffs than they did during the regular season. So congratulations to Boston for moving on. Good luck to Washington. You guys are going to get a better draft pick now. Right, because you're out sooner, so you get a little bit better of a draft pick. So
did they trade their first? I don't think, did they?
I don't know.
I'd have to check it out. But anyways, let's go to the New York Islanders Pittsburgh series since you brought it up. And we'll talk about that for a bit, just to say, like we said beforehand, we had no idea what was going to happen in the series, and I still don't have any idea.
New York Islanders
play like the New York Islanders one game. Pittsburgh comes out and just crushes them in the first period. The next game, Jari stops pucks. Jari doesn't stop pucks. Varlamov stops pucks. Varlamov doesn't stop pucks.
Jeff Carter has 2 goals. You know what?
It's the weirdest series I've ever. I've totally avoided it. I'm totally avoiding it. I'm just watching it and enjoying it. But what a strange series this is.
I agree, because it's like Pittsburgh doesn't quite have enough defense to withstand not quite enough offense from the Islanders, right? Because that's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. That's exactly. The Islanders don't have much for offense. Pittsburgh has terrible goaltending and poor and average to poor defense. Pittsburgh has lots of offense. New York Islanders have had
a much better defense.
A defense system, anyways. They're playing a much better defensive system than Pittsburgh. And then goaltending that has been now injured with Varlamov and Sorokin coming in. Weird. Pens are done? I don't think the Pens are done. I don't know. I'm really rooting for the Sorokin kid to do well. That's all I know in this series is I want. You know why I want the Sorokin kid to do well?
Well, why?
Because I said he was going to do well. It's pure ego. That's.
Oh my gosh. We all said it was lip service when Trotz came out and said, yeah, I'm using the last 10 games as preseason.
Preseason, yeah. Maybe he's using every second game as a preseason.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Maybe he's using every other game as a preseason here too, or something. I mean, this series has been one of those series where I agree. I don't even want to touch this. Like I actually picked the Islanders to win the division.
Yeah.
And that just didn't even remotely happen. Not even close. Okay, and Pittsburgh just kind of took the reins and went off, and the Islanders, and see, this is kind of where we go back to what we talked about with the Boston and the Washington. Pittsburgh was pretty much on fire going into the playoffs, winning a lot at the end of the season, winning those key games, playing really well towards the end of the season, and the Islanders were not.
Yeah.
They were not playing all that great. They were not having the best of games, and their new trade acquisitions and stuff weren't gelling with the team, and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So I mean, they were both on the opposite ends of the spectrum here when they got into the playoffs. That's why this has been so up and down, and why it's been such a coin flip. Because to be honest with you, Pittsburgh played enough to win the division, but I don't think they're the best team in the East.
No. Well, not on paper for sure. That's the thing. Not on paper for sure. And if it's going to be Pittsburgh and Boston, I think Boston be. Oh well. First of all, how does that work now? After this, they have to play each other. Whoever wins this plays Boston, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Either one of these teams is. I can't see either one of these teams beating Boston.
Especially now that Boston's going to have at the very least,
No,
a
week off.
five day off,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I think the final game of the Pittsburgh Islanders series, Game 7, is slated for Friday,
Yeah.
right? So if it goes to that, which I don't think it's gonna, to be honest with you, I really don't think it's gonna go full 7. But then again, who knows? It probably will now because it's already 2-2. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Either way, we all thought that we were going to see different goalies in for the Islanders, and that wasn't the case. And Jari has played well enough
I suppose.
to continue playing. I mean,
I'm
to
sort of like
Smith,
I'm sort of with you on that one. The Islanders have made him look like he was okay.
yeah. DeSmith was even a scratch the one night for one of their games. He wasn't even their backup goalie. You know what I mean? So I don't have a lot of faith in Jari. I
No,
really don't.
Jari is doing the same thing that Murray did when they lost Fleury. He doesn't seem to be able to handle this number one role very well, and he hasn't really had the same mentor as Murray did with Fleury either. He had Murray, who was struggling himself, and now Jari's. It's very difficult there. So, anyways, we better move on to one more. I'm not making any prediction in this series. This game tonight or anything. This is the biggest question mark series I think there is. But we'll move to. I'd like to just talk about quickly. We got 10 minutes before the break. How about the Nashville Carolina series? We'll go into that. I did.
This has been some of the most brutal hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one and the Florida series have been some of the most brutal games that I've watched in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Like brutal in what way brutal?
Like hits,
Oh,
like
hits.
the number of hits.
Oh yeah. Hard fought.
The
Yeah.
number of post whistle extracurriculars, the lots of unhappy faces and unhappy places here in both of these series. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's been fantastic. Now, it's funny in this series, when we were doing the predictions before, I said that I think Nashville will take it. This is going to be a lot tougher than you think. I think it's going to go 7, right? And then Carolina came out and played like Carolina in their mechanical, meticulous way. And Nashville looked like they were just way overmatched. And I'm like, okay, I was wrong. And then they go to Nashville, and we forget about that home team advantage for Nashville. You can say whatever you. Those fans are in freaking insane, right? Those fans are crazy in Nashville.
And it was great. It was great seeing them there. It was great seeing the team being supported by their fans. You know what I mean? So that's great to see. Finally, see. When I was doing Off the Wall Hockey Show, we talked about there's a different feel for these playoffs this year because of last year being in the bubble, and everybody being in the same arena and everybody playing in front of the same gray, sheets that they had all up on the seats and everything. And now you go into the buildings now, at least in the United States, and you get to see a game where, Nashville's got all yellow.
Yeah.
Right. You go into that and you see, all the yellow in the Nashville stadium. I knew it was going to be tough for Carolina to go into Nashville and win those games. Okay. I thought that they could have at least stole one of them.
Yeah.
Carolina needs to be able to win on the road.
Yeah. Carolina did outplay them, let's face it, though. Nedeljkovic kind of let them down a little bit that last game, and that's the first game that he's really let them down.
I agree.
So they did outplay them. They outshot them a lot. I mean, if they keep on playing like that, they're going to win more than they lose, right?
Exactly. Here's the thing, though, that I've been taking notice to in this series, and it's rather disturbing. It seems like the penalties are very, very one-sided. In game 2, Carolina had 7 against and 3 for. Right? And then in some of the other games, there was a lot more penalties, I believe, for Nashville than there was for Carolina. Or a lot more power plays. They were calling a lot of the players in Carolina for penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it just seemed a little bit... And then when you see that Edmonton-Winnipeg game where there was one call in game 2, right? One penalty, that's it, between two hockey teams that hate each other, that have played each other and are part of the same division. You mean to tell me only one penalty? And then you get a game down here against Carolina and Nashville and there's 10 and 7 against one team? Come on.
You got to understand, though, there's a different ebb and flow to every game. That game, those teams, those players, what they say, what they do, and everything is going to change for a referee and how he refs the game. He's going to let things go here, there, because of a whole lot. You got to hear what's going on in the ice, see what's going on in the ice, to realize why they do this, that, and the other thing. There's times when you'll say, like, that was a blatant penalty, and the reason why they didn't call it was just because whatever guy that was going to be called on was being an absolute jerk, and was a message to the team to say, get this guy to settle down, because I'm not going to call penalties on you if you don't take care of this. There's a whole lot of flabbing going on between coaches and referees and all of those sort of things like that. And referees send messages in certain ways. And that's not going to change, and nor should it change. Because if you did call it the way a lot of people think they want it called, go watch a European hockey game and come back and tell me if you enjoy that, because that's exactly what it's going to turn into. And it's going to be boring as all hell.
Yeah, those guys call everything.
It's disgusting. There's a whole lot of ebbs and flows. That's why I don't get into refs too much, because I can't judge from up here watching on what exactly is going on in that ice. If you can hear what everybody's saying, what they're saying, stuff like that. Do you know how many times the Rangers will, when they had Avery, they would freak out because the ref wasn't calling any penalties for them, and they were getting penalty kill after penalty kill after penalty kill. I'll tell you why. Shut Avery up. That's why.
Yeah.
You're going to disrespect and blah, 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 the referee like that, guess what? You're not getting calls. So you tell your coach, you know what? You got a guy over here, you better shut him up, because you're not getting a call all freaking game unless you do. So, yeah, there's a whole lot more to it.
Okay.
That's the way it is, man. That's the way it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just got schooled by the great Pearlo wisdom.
Yeah.
That's right.
I would do it too. I mean, it's the way the game is the way it is. And you hear Rangers fans lose their mind. The league is out to get us. No, you get trade Avery. Get rid of Avery. Get rid of guys like, there's guys that are mouthy and respect the refs, and there's guys that are mouthy and jerks and stuff like that. And if you disrespect authority, guess what? They're not on your side.
Usually not. Yeah, not usually. I mean, if you're not good and happy to the authority, then they're usually not going to be there when you really need them the most, like when you need a power play at the end of the game.
Yeah.
To help you try to get over the hump.
Yeah. As far as what was happening, we'll get into the Winnipeg game and stuff after, but we can start on it now, I guess. As far as you saying there was no penalties in the Winnipeg Jets game and the Edmonton Oilers game.
No, in game 2 there was one one power play.
Yeah. And in that series itself, there hasn't been many penalties at all, right?
Right.
That is the reason why the Oilers are not winning that series. Because Winnipeg has just said they're not going to do nothing. All right, we'll just play the trap and we'll hold on to them when we can hold on to them. They're just going to sit there. All right, we can do this. They're going to.
I mean, pretty much.
They're going to kick.
And Winnipeg is built to do that.
They're going to kick your butt all day long if you don't put up a fight with the Jets. They're going to kick your butt all day long. Now that being said, there is a part of this that I do not like or understand or agree with at all. And I would really love to hear what the officiating has to do with this, because I don't think it's a referee thing, and I've talked about it before. I think it's a league thing, and there is no doubt about it, and it's not because I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan, because you can say the same about Matthews, you can say the same even about Kaprizov, and guys like this that are elite players, especially skating-wise. There are way too many liberties holding and stuff like that going on with these guys. And I think it has to do with the fact that the league has come to realize that if they call things the way you're supposed to call things against guys like McDavid and stuff, these guys actually have the level of talent that will win games all by themselves, and it'll almost be unfair.
So you think that because they're so good, they have to try to keep these guys down by constantly calling these penalties on other teams and keeping the other team from not being on the power play? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because if you called everything that on McDavid, right, the Oilers would be on the power play all game. And if you didn't call it, McDavid would probably score 5 or 6 goals. They're like, just watch the stuff that's not called on McDavid in the run of a game. It is when he's really on, like if you don't, it's almost got to the point now where there's starting to be some disparity in the league between the great players and the average players, almost like it was in the 90s, where in the 80s, it's almost starting to get to that point where they don't know what to do with some of the teams that have this level of talent. And I wouldn't doubt that the other owners out there are saying, look, we're not going to have a chance if you don't do something about these guys with McDavid. It's not our fault we don't have a McDavid on our team. We just didn't win the lottery, or, we didn't have this or whatever, right? It's not our fault that we don't have one of those guys. And like Matthews, that can shoot top-hand corner from pretty much anywhere on, like, the most incredible shot I've ever seen. People say Ovechkin's the best. He's not. Matthews is the most incredible shot I have ever seen. And closest to Mike Bossy. Like, and the way his speed and the way he can play, this Kaprizov kid. How do you stop this kid?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This guy is on a level beyond. These guys are on a level beyond. And if you don't clutch and grab them, it almost has got to the point where it's going to be unfair.
That's exactly what happened in the 80s and the 90s, because they had these overworldly players like Lemieux, like Gretzky, like, you know what I mean? And they had to do something to try to, stop the bleeding, I guess, as bad as it was. You know what I mean? And so that's why they're doing it.
Wow, they changed the law. They changed the rules because Gretzky, Messi, no doubt about it. Those Oilers teams back then, if you would have let them go and you didn't have clutching and grabbing, they would have won. It would have been stupid. It would have been stupid. And I think it's got to that point now. Winnipeg can This last game, I didn't really see Winnipeg clutching and grabbing so much. I think McDavid and Draisaitl are tired. Remember when Mario Lemieux was called the whiner for what he was saying? That was not whining. He was absolutely right. What was going on for him was just terrible. You could pretty much hang off of the guy, and you couldn't go anywhere. And that was.
And they weren't calling it. They weren't calling it. They weren't calling it interference. They weren't calling it holding or anything like that.
Yeah, they weren't calling nothing. Like they were there. There was footage back then where they had two guys literally hanging off of him, and he scored. Remember that goal he scored with two people hanging off of him?
Yeah, I remember.
And there was no penalty on the play. Ridiculous.
Look, I got the distinct honor and privilege of seeing Mario Lemieux play in real life.
Well, yeah, so did I. So did I.
Destroying my beloved Flyers. So, yeah, I have nightmares about Lemieux.
Incredible. But I could be wrong, but we'll keep a look at this as we go. But that's what it looks like to me. Like, I think McDavid and Matthews. Who else? Kaprizov is not quite there, but still kind of there.
You'd have to you'd almost have to put him in that kind of level there. Stamkos, maybe.
Yeah, he's starting to fade a little bit. Kuznetsov. Kucherov. You know, those there's like 4 or 5 guys that if you have them and they let it go, that those teams would pretty much win just because of them. And that's what the league is going, like, we can't have that, really. I mean, it's going to be like the owners are going to lose their freaking minds. We're going to find. So, anyways, it's going to be funny to watch to see what happens. And McKinnon's a good example. And watch McKinnon. Watch people hanging off McKinnon. It's crazy.
And nothing's called.
And nothing's called. Yeah. Okay, we got to go to a break, right?
Yeah.
All righty. Okay, get your doggies around, everybody. We gotta get. We're gonna have some fine programming here for the dogs. We'll be right back in a bit, and we'll talk about. We're talking about, what did we get? 2 series done?
No, we talked about Edmonton. We talked about, the only one we didn't talk about was the Colorado series and the Montreal series.
Okay, we'll get back to those series after this.
Oh, and Tampa and Florida.
Tampa, Florida. That's going to be interesting, too. So, see, all the frolic that's coming. You guys stick around.
That's right.
You're not going to want to miss it. Not going to want to miss a minute. Okay.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have 2 very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of 2 locations, both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. Both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
Hello, we're back.
Hey.
How you doing, everybody? We're back. Okay. All right. Well, let's just continue on with each series as we go here. Which one? You pick whatever one you want, buddy. You can talk about whatever you want. They were really talking about the Edmonton-Winnipeg thing. You want to go with the Edmonton-Winnipeg thing? Why don't we go? Because they've been already talking about it in the chat.
Yeah, we can probably do that. That's no problem at all, for sure. I really thought that Edmonton was back in the game. I really thought, I mean, when it was 4-1, I was like, wow, okay. Draisaitl was on the board. McDavid was flying. I mean, I really felt this was going to be, back to what I thought it was going to be, which was Edmonton winning the series, but apparently I was wrong. And they just stunk up the place by letting Winnipeg get right back in it. What?
Yep.
You can't give up leads like that. You just can't. Okay?
Yeah. That Archibald pick, doesn't that look like he was just trying to get around the guy? Like,
yeah.
Doesn't it? Like, it was not a. I don't know what he was actually doing, but it didn't look intentional to me that he was trying to pick somebody.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, I haven't really, overly analyzed it. You know what I mean? But I am completely blown away by this series, to be honest with you. I was not expecting Winnipeg to be. Let me rephrase. I wasn't expecting Edmonton to be this cold.
In the middle of the regular season, I was picking Winnipeg to win the East.
You mean the North?
Or the North, I mean, to win the North.
Yeah.
It was only because they went on this dip and Hellebuck didn't look good and,
right.
all of that kind of stuff like that. And I was like, what? But then I was also thinking in the back of my mind, if they do play like I know they can play, they're going to beat Edmonton. I never thought Edmonton was a playoff team. I've been saying that all along. They have players on there. They have no third line center. Their gritty players can't skate like Cassian and the East Indian dude. What's his name?
Comrie.
No. It'll come to me. But
okay.
Their bottom two lines are brutal. It's the top end, and like we were saying that before, if you let McDavid go, if you're not clutching and grabbing him, he could probably win the game all by himself. But if you're playing a trap like they are against him, which they are, this is what Edmonton doesn't have anything to combat it.
Yeah, but Smith hasn't necessarily been the best goalie up there either. No. I mean, he had a pretty good season this year, but, I recall us all kind of being worried about him going into the playoffs. Was he going to be able to carry on with what he was doing in the regular season? Was he going to be able to do that in the playoffs? And it doesn't seem like that's quite the case, I would think.
Yeah, no, it's the same problem we were talking. I mean, I was surprised Smith did as well as he did. When they re-signed Smith, I was like, oh, great, and now it comes to the playoffs, and is it all his fault? No, but was a 39-year-old going to grind you to the? I mean, it was pretty impressive what he did for 39 years old as it was already. And then, especially in front of, like what Lauren says, the Oilers' defense that they have, which is really not that great already. And, Barry's going to bite you in the playoffs pretty much if you play him a lot of minutes. And they're playing him 25 minutes a night. So none of this is really surprising to me. I think people get fixated on McDavid and Draisaitl, which is great because they can win a series but if they're getting clutched and grabbed and trapped and everything like that, Winnipeg is going to beat a whole team. As a whole team is going to beat this Edmonton Oilers team. I wouldn't think 3 in a row, but because Edmonton really outplayed them the last game. Let's face that too. Right?
Oh, okay. Here's an interesting stat for you. The Edmonton defense had 8 giveaways.
Yeah.
Okay, and compared to the Winnipeg defense, they had 6 giveaways.
Yeah,
so
they're not great either.
Right, but I mean, when you give the puck away that amount of times to, to a team that's going to be able to take advantage of it. Okay, and that's going to be the case, and that's exactly what Winnipeg is doing. They're taking advantage of it. There was only 6 total power play or 6 total penalties called in this game, right? Each team had 3, but the Jets were 2 for 3 on their power play, and the Oilers were only 1 for 3 on theirs. Okay,
yeah.
So that I think is going to be the major issue right there. The fact that McDavid did have 3 assists. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
It's not enough. See, he needs to have those goals in order for Edmonton to be that team. It's like we were talking about this last night. Washington is not built to play from behind. If Washington has to chase the game, they're going to lose. Edmonton is built that way too. They're built to play from in front. If they find themselves behind, they're not built to chase the game. They don't have the defense to withstand the other team. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I kind of get you. I mean, the Islanders are the team that can't come from behind.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, they don't.
I'm seriously with you on that.
They don't have the offense to do it. But the Oilers,
Edmonton has the offense, but I mean, it's like they haven't been able to put it together.
They don't have the depth through their lines to do that, because then they just got to play the crap out of McDavid and Draisaitl and hope their legs hold on, because nobody else.
And I mean, if you shut them guys down, then what? Then who do you got? You know what I mean? It's pretty slim pickings past that.
6 and 8, those are rookie numbers. I don't know what the heck that is. Yeah. No, Tavares' career, I don't think, will be ended in this. They've got fantastic people to help people with concussions and stuff like that. But this team needs, okay, the Edmonton Oilers have been saying it all along. They need warriors in that room, and they don't have them. Simple as that. Cassian's the only one that's close that can actually skate. That can actually skate. Not just, This is one time that the Prize and I kind of disagree. He's like, we need Tyler Ennis in there. Well, we're in trouble if we need Tyler Ennis. if that's what we have and we need to go to, we're in trouble, because Tyler Ennis is like 5'9". He's gonna skate around in circles until somebody knocks him down. That's not what we need. We need guys like, I've already mentioned it. I'll mention them all the time. Guys like Foligno, Konechny in Philadelphia when he's playing like Konechny. Guys like that are warriors. We don't have a warrior mentality in that room. Haven't had it for 10 years. And until we have it, we're not making it. We're not going to beat. Winnipeg does. Winnipeg's got the Scheifele's. Winnipeg's got Connor. Winnipeg has Kopp. Winnipeg has Lowry. These are warriors. They're in there to beat you. Beat you. So I'm going to, take that.
Stasny, Wheelers, Ellers. I mean, this team here has all the makings of a team that potentially could go up to Toronto and punch them in the face.
Absolutely. If they're playing like this, I'm picking them against Toronto. That's like halfway through the year I said that Winnipeg was going to win it. Then they went through this dip or whatever they were going through. I don't know. And then now they're like back to where they were before. I think I might be leaning Winnipeg against Toronto.
Well, Hellebuck was Vezina Trophy last year, correct? Or the year before? Right.
What's that?
Hellebuck was the Vezina Trophy winner last year or the year before.
Yeah.
So if he suddenly becomes his Vezina self, then that kind of opens the door them doing the track, because they don't have to worry because he's stopping everything.
Yeah.
And he pretty much has, let's face it.
Yep.
There's been, 2 shutouts in this series so far?
Mm-hmm.
And the last game was the most goals that have been scored in this series so far.
Yep.
So it ain't like it's, a whole lot of goals being scored. It's a lot of goalies going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that Edmonton, they're letting me down. How's that?
Yeah.
I really thought that they were going to be the better team. I was not seeing Winnipeg for who they really were. I mean, you see them a little better than I do.
I saw them earlier for what they were, and I was like confused.
Right.
I was confused as to what happened. I didn't know what was going on. And so I ended up picking Edmonton too. But if they would have maintained what they were midway through the season, I would have been all over Winnipeg in this series. All over Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Until Edmonton starts paying attention to having warriors in that room, you can have all the offense you want, or if the league allows McDavid to not be hooked and all that stuff like that, and he can win a game all by himself. There's no doubt about that. Hintian, how you doing, Hintian? Right on. Okay, let's go to another series here now.
Which one are we doing now? Is this this is the Toronto and the Montreal one?
Sure, and that's on tonight. And so is the Edmonton-Winnipeg game. I guess we could have asked people who they think's going to win that. Who do you think's going to win? I don't know. I'm saying Edmonton just because, like, you can't lose 4 in a row, right? Like, really? You can't lose 4.
Apparently, they can. I'll be honest with you, my man. That's exactly who I'm picking. Even though I have Edmonton picked in my bracket.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is one of the ones that I actually had picked to go to 5 or 7. I mean, I had this series going to 7.
There you go.
Right.
Okay. All right.
But with it being 3-0, teams that have come back from 3-0 are few and far between, and I just don't see Edmonton being that. They might win tonight, but I don't think they're going to win this series.
No.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, just tonight.
Man, I can't even. I can't even do it because they're playing in Winnipeg. I can't. I think Winnipeg can finish it off tonight.
Yeah,
I'm going to say that. I'm going to say it, even though I really would rather them not. I would really like Edmonton to try to make it a series. I just don't see it happening.
Two of the 3 games, Edmonton outplayed them for most of the game. Let's not forget that, right? It's just like you said, Smith hasn't been
exactly, and Hellebuck has played much better.
Hellebuck has been a beast, and that's really what it comes down to. And it's always going to come down to. And next year they're going to have cap room, and they're going to have to do something about this goaltending situation.
Exactly.
And they're going to have to get a third line center and some meat on that freaking. I would just please,
meat.
If you could find a way to get, if you could convince Foligno to come over, please. Oh my gosh, I would be so happy. I would be doing backflips if we could get Foligno.
Yeah.
In Philly or Edmonton, I don't care. And if you can get a Foligno, you get a Foligno. They say, well, you don't really need centers. Well, get rid of one. It's a Foligno. If you get a Foligno, you get Foligno.
See how you are after you get rid of one. Yeah, right. I'm with you.
Find Foligno, get Foligno, and then work with the rest afterwards. If you can get a Foligno, you take a Foligno, period. I don't care where you're at.
Okay.
Anyways, that's just my philosophy. Okay, so Toronto, Montreal. After what I saw last game, this Montreal team is. I was suspicious of the coaching a little bit, and now there's no question in my mind. This guy Ducharme has no idea what he's doing.
I mean, I don't get why he hasn't played Kotkaniemi. He has playoff experience from last year and played really well. He's one of your offensive guys. Cole Caulfield is going to play tonight, right? I'm pretty sure he's going to be in tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that tell you?
Well, he said the way they asked him about it, and he said, well, we have depth and we may use it. And
really? So, wow.
That's what he said. We have depth and we may use it.
That's as bad as Trot saying, yeah, we're going to have a Russian goalie in net tonight. Yeah. You only have Russian goalies.
Go read what you said. What did Lauren say? I'm not a Leafs fan, but I hope to see Jumbo Joe just lay Cole Caulfield out. And later the night, Kevin Weeks says, welcome to the National Hockey League. Oh, okay, yeah. I see what he means by that, yeah.
Because Weeksy always says, welcome to the National whenever they score their first goal. Whatever,
no, whenever they get crushed by another guy, especially
that too, yeah. All right.
Cole Caulfield is one special talent. I didn't think I didn't know. I wanted to see how he got, because he's one of those players that if you don't get into the spots, you're just going to be like, I just mentioned a guy like Tyler Ennis, right? A perimeter kind of guy. Tyler Ennis, I love Tyler Ennis. For his size, he got to the spots really good early in his career, and he ended up getting severely injured because of it. And that's the thing about Cole Caulfield is he going to be able to get into those spots? But he's one of those sneaky guys that end up being there, and you're like, how the heck did he get there? Like, those guys are cool, and I like him a lot, and we'll see what happens. I find it a little unfortunate he has to be on the Montreal Canadiens, because I have very little faith in management or management of this team at all, and I think Toronto's going to win this game tonight.
You know what? Now that you put it out like that, and I look at some of the things, and one of the things that's kind of glaring here is that Toronto is 100% on their power play for the game 2, right?
Oh yeah! Wow, I didn't even know that.
Right. I think they scored. I want to check here. Just give me a sec. I think they scored on every power play they had the other night. Let me go back to the game, and let's see here, Game Center. Okay, they were 2 of 6 in game 2. 2 of 6 in game 2 on their power play, and then let's see here. Game 1 was what, Friday, way back Friday the 21st, or something like that, right?
Your rookie CC debut. Oh, Cole Caulfield debut, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Rad's a Henderson fan. Montreal fan. Yeah, this Cole Caulfield kid is pretty special. It's hard to put him in a place. I'm trying to think of like a guy he reminds me of. He's not like a Kaprizov, really.
No.
He's more of a guy that, like I said, finds his spots.
Okay.
Sneaky guy. Very
Okay.
sneaky.
So that was an incorrect stat on that. So they were 0 for in the first game and 2 for 6 in the second game.
Okay.
Okay. But when I saw that, I was like, really? Okay, no, that can't be right. So I had to go look at it. That's why I was like, wait a minute, no. Here's the thing, though. I think Montreal is running into the coaching issues where I don't think the coach is understanding what's going on here. I don't think he has quite the right. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, to be honest with you. Montreal has been that team this year where, man, they looked really good out of the gates, and then halfway through the season, they fired their coach.
I think this coach, now I'm not going to call him a bad coach because you're not in the NHL and you're a bad coach at the same time. You're
right.
Right. Exactly. But I think it's possible that what he has come across here is that this roster is not going to go very far on its own.
Yeah, okay, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I'll
because
get to Florida.
Because they're only going to go so far. They're only going to go so far because Price is coming to the end, right? And he can't continue to be that goaltender anymore, right? You do have some young guys coming up with Suzuki and Kotkaniemi, but and Cole Caulfield, obviously, you know what I mean? But you need some of that defense, and you know what I mean? And they're trying to be that defensive team. That's what they were trying to do, you know what I mean? But then, see, it's that weird balance where you want to be defensive, but you have to have enough offense to win games. I mean, it's okay if you want to win a couple games 1-0, but you can't win all 82 games 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You got to have some guys putting the puck in the net.
Yeah. Like I said, I think what he's doing is he's kind of playing all his cards here. To put the veterans in to begin with, I kind of understood what he was doing because a veteran, when it comes to the playoffs, it's especially the first game, you want people there that know the other team's players really well and what to expect and what to do and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
I understand I understand that aspect of it, of what he was doing there. The problem is the players he was replacing them with is not really the coach's fault here. I do agree with playing the veterans, but the veterans were just not good enough to be in the lineup.
Yeah.
That's
all
it.
right.
Stahl is not good enough to be in that lineup. He shouldn't be there. He wasn't good enough. I do get it, especially for the first game against Toronto. And what he's trying to do is get a culture energy going against Toronto. If they're going to beat Toronto, they're going to have to beat them in intensity and
as a team. Yeah.
With a warrior mentality where you're out there taking no prisoners, okay? And rookies don't get that yet. Not too many. You know, there's only so many Kachucks in the world that's different. But Caulfield's kind of like, I like the playoffs. This is going to be so fun. And then you get in there and you have a guy going, I'm going to rip your head off, All right. You can stare at everybody and be happy you're in the playoffs and wave to your mommy all you want. I'm crushing
I'm coming
you
to take
today.
your bloody head off.
That's what I get.
But see,
I get that. Okay.
okay, but you have a player that can score, that has proven to be a scorer on your team. He has playoff experience.
And Kokaniemi didn't make much sense. Yeah.
To me, I'm still scratching my head on that.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I see those kinds of things, I question what the coach is doing. And then, I mean, I see what you're saying, where you need to build that kind of team energy to go against Toronto. I really just don't think Montreal's going to be the team to do it. I think it's going to have to be Winnipeg. You know what I mean?
Before they go on, people keep on talking about the Canada team that's 0-3 right now in the World Hockey Championships. That team is made up of kids. It's just kids. Nobody wanted to go, so they just threw together a team and threw them out there. They've never been played on a large ice surface or anything like that. Like none of them. Miller, even their veterans, have never played on a large ice surface. They don't know what they're doing out there. They don't have a clue. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, quick update on the World Hockey going on there. I actually been watching some of those.
Yeah.
I was watching the Germany.
Germany beat Canada.
Yeah, I was watching that game, and I was like, wow, Germany beat Canada.
Belarus beat Sweden, okay.
Yeah, but you know what else, though? Here's the thing. Here's the kicker. These are qualifiers for some of these outlying teams. Okay, so these games are important for some of those outlying teams, like the Germanys, like the Latvias, the Czech Republics, the stuff like that, because the powerhouse teams are already slated to be there.
But Canada's not going to be there. Canada's not even going to make it.
For the Olympics?
Oh, for the Olympics, you mean? Oh, I don't think it. It doesn't. Yeah.
No, that's what they were talking about for this. These are some of the qualifiers for the Olympics.
For some people, yeah. For some teams, it matters. Yeah.
Right, because if you're like they were saying that the host country is China, right? So their hockey team is in because they're the host country.
Yeah.
Well, you have to win a specific number of outlying games in each one of these tournaments in order to be considered to go to the Olympics for the Olympics.
Yeah, I see what you mean now.
So.
Yeah, but they just put bad clubs. Sweden's club is the same thing. Super young. Like, nobody knows who's going to win any of these games. Friggin' Latvia just barely beat Italy today. Just Italy. Italy couldn't beat an ECHL team here. They're terrible. And Latvia beat...
See, now, why you got to be busting all my homies?
Latvia beat Canada, and they just barely beat Italy. So that tells you what kind of team they have.
Like, the fact that Italy has a hockey team, like, really?
Yeah.
Like, you got a bunch of paisanos out there skating around. All right.
Yeah, most of them. Most of them are from like they just happen to have some Italian blood in them from New York.
Because I mean, you got a bunch of paisanos out there. Everybody's gonna be 5'8". Hey, you know.
True. They're not the biggest guys in the world either. Yeah.
I mean that's all fine and great, but not for hockey players, man. You know what I mean?
Russia just lost against Slovakia. Like, it's just voodoo over there right now. Anyways, I thought I'd talk about that. It's just those guys aren't going to win nothing. Once I saw the roster, I'm like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, who are these guys again? What? All right.
The Power, the college kid, isn't he on? He's playing. Like.
You know, we need to talk about next.
What's it? No, we got to talk Florida and Lightning.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
What somebody was just saying, who was just in the chat that said that that Sergachev is back and Kucherov is back, and I just looked it up, and they are. So.
Oh, are they? Because I heard they were going to be out.
Yeah. How injured are they going to be? Power is not ready for prime time, even close. This is one of the weaker drafts that we've had in a while. Power's going to, like, as far as players that are going to be ready for the NHL right away. So And Power shouldn't be playing in a like this. Your team is pretty poor. Power's playing.
Okay. Well, so now we're going to get into the battle of the Sunshine State here.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, guys. I completely and utterly misread this one. I really thought that Florida was in the driver's seat. I thought it was going to be tough for Tampa Bay to come out of the gates with missing Stamkos for 16 games and missing Kucherov and not being able to do that. I completely and utterly underestimated the power of the world champions coming back to defend. I completely and utterly misread Bobrovsky and Drieger, thinking that they could have at least they played really well against them during the regular season. I thought for sure that this would be the upset of the playoffs, and well, I was wrong because Tampa Bay is just their Tampa Bay Stanley Cup winning champion defending selves and just crushing it. So
Tampa Bay was obviously pacing themselves after winning the Cup last year. I didn't like. I mean, it's just a different philosophy that I guess makes sense for this year, but normally it's not a good thing you want to do. However, I was not on Florida if Bobrovsky was going to be in net a lot. I talked about it a lot, so I'm not a big fan on.
Right.
Yeah, I'm on the Leafs. I got the Leafs winning that series.
You mean Tampa Bay, the Lightning?
He asked me if I'm on the Leafs, so yeah, I said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We'll see what Sergachev and Kucherov how good they are tonight, because I mean, it sounds like both of those injuries were bad enough to take them out of a game. It's not like they were kind of banged up after the game. They actually were taken out of a game. And now so that would mean to me that they're coming in hobbled here.
I really don't think it's going to matter. To be honest with you, I really don't. Now here's an interesting stat for you. In the first 3 games of Florida Tampa Bay, 255 hits.
Yeah.
In the first 3 games. Okay, in game 1 there was 86 hits.
Yeah, game 1 was awesome.
Game 2 there was 79 hits. Game 3 90 hits.
Yeah.
Right? So look, I'm all for this kind of playoff hockey.
Mm-hmm.
All freaking day long. Mm-hmm. I loved watching this series. I can watch this. You put me in front of this series all the time. I'm good. We're good.
Yeah, I love this series. Yeah, it's been fun to watch. But it's goaltending.
Not so fun for Tampa Bay or for Florida.
I'm taking Florida tonight because they finally put Knight in net. I think Knight's going to crush it tonight. Crush it.
If they have any hope, if they have any sniff,
mm-hmm.
then they need to win tonight, because this is it, man. It's 3-1. Tampa Bay leads the series 3-1. If Florida doesn't win tonight, it's pack your bags and you're playing golf. I also love the fact that we're going to see Spencer Knight out there tonight. They should have gone with him from jump.
Wow.
If they would have gone with him from jump, they probably would be in a little bit of a better situation, because watching all 3 of these games and watching Drieger just get hung out, and then Bob not even being able to do anything about it, and that to me just spelled the end right there. And they're not able to stop the bleeding. Doesn't matter. Spencer Knight, he's the real deal. I don't know, man. I just don't see it happening. I think Tampa Bay is going to take it.
I'm taking Florida because of Spencer Knight. Simple as that. I don't understand why they didn't put him in last game. They're want to be careful, I guess, with how psychologically his confidence. Like, if they would have lost last game and Spencer Knight was kind of the reason, it's kind of hard on the confidence of a goaltender. I'm not a goaltender guru coach or whatever like that. They could have a point there, I guess. But the way I see it from my perspective is you have two goaltenders that haven't been able to do it. And Spencer Knight has shown in the regular season he can do it. If you're going to win it all, somebody's going to have to crush it. He's the only one that hasn't had a chance to crush it. Let him try to crush it. And I think he's going to. I think he's going to be killer tonight. I think he's going to be absolutely killer.
I hope so. I hope so. I would like to see him show well. I did pick Florida to be my upset and win this series, even though I don't think it's gonna bloody happen. But if they can come out and win one tonight, that'll look good on Spencer Knight. Really high on this kid. Loved him playing at the World Juniors for the United States team. He was freaking amazing. He had almost three full games of shutout during the World Juniors. He had two games in like almost a full third game where he shut out all he stopped every shot. So this guy is definitely the real deal. He played really well in his 2 games in the regular season, and he showed really well. He won both of those games. He stopped 40-some shots in his first game as a professional, right? Like, welcome to the record books, kid. You know what I mean? In his first game out there, I mean, he just showed out on his first game. Like, I'm with you. I like Florida for this. I've liked Florida from the beginning, but I just don't think it's going to matter. I think it's already past the point of no return now. I do agree. I think Florida's going to win this game tonight, but I don't think they're going to win against Tampa Bay.
Well, the series, probably not. It's too much to ask now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
And the only way they're winning this series, though, and this is the reason why I think they should have put Spencer Knight last time, is like Spencer Knight was drafted with the idea that he was going to be a superstar goaltender in the ilk of the Waz and everything of the world. He got drafted very high, like 10th or 12th in the first round, somewhere around there, if somebody can help me out. Hey, Payton. And, when everything else fails, and everything else had failed, let the superstar kid see if he can crush it like Patrick Waugh out there. That's really what they need right now. They need a Patrick Waugh-like effort when he won the Cup with Montreal that one year, and he just stopped everything. And, Montreal probably shouldn't have won that Cup on paper or anything, but he just crushed it. And that's what they need right now if they're going to have any chance at all. And if anybody can do it, from what I've seen, Spencer Knight might be it. Sort of like, if Rask was not going well or whatever, that Swayman kid in Boston, same sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure, but I just don't think that Florida's going to have enough to put 3 games up on Tampa Bay.
No, I don't
in
think
a
so.
row.
I don't think that's asking way too much. But tonight, crush it. Tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tonight, maybe, get your moment in the sun. All right, appreciate it, but we're going back to Tampa Bay to wrap this up tomorrow. So
you play hard tonight, hit like crazy. You never know. Kucherov and Sergachev may, fall apart from being injured, and next thing you know, you're going into another game where you're 2-3 with a very more injured Tampa Bay team, and stranger things have happened.
For sure. That's for sure, man. Stranger things have happened, and they probably will.
Someday.
We've seen it happen, man. We've seen the craziness where, we saw Nashville like completely turn it around against Carolina, making that a much more difficult situation. And here's the last one that we're going to talk about. And that's Minnesota against Vegas.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I don't know about you, but everybody was like, man, Vegas is a team, Vegas is a team, Vegas is a team. And I'm just like, okay, I get what you're saying. I hear you. But I really like Colorado better. Okay, but yeah, Vegas is a team, Vegas is a team. But I really like Colorado better.
I'm still on Vegas.
But I still like Colorado better.
Everybody, I still think that Vegas-Colorado series will be that Vegas.
Well, that's what's coming.
Vegas will pull through. I don't see Minnesota winning another game here. They're going to have Herculean, Herculean. Is that how you say it?
Herculean?
Herculean? Yeah, Herculean.
There you go.
Herculean-like effort to beat Vegas.
There you go. All right. That's the word of the day, folks. Herculean.
Yeah. It's
not to be confused with Ed Hockley.
I think the last game was bad goaltending. Not bad goaltending. Nedeljkovic didn't have his best game. But if Vegas plays like they did the last two, that's the Vegas I was looking for right there. Like that Vegas team anticipates so amazingly well. It's once they find a pattern in your offense in their zone, they are all over you. All of a sudden, all the globetrotter antics of Minnesota just went, whoo, where are they? They were all over them. And as soon as you take that away from Minnesota, they don't have anything at this point until they build their team a little more to combat you in any other way that I can tell.
So game one was Golden Knights 3-1, right? So in 3 games, they've outscored them, I believe. Let's see, 3, 5, 4. That's 9, 13-2 or something crazy like that. In the 3 games that Vegas won, they outscored Minnesota like 13-2 or something. Right? So it's 1-3 the first game.
Mm-hmm.
Right, 1-3 the first game. Then you go to that's that one. Then the next game is 5-2, right? So now that's 8-3 now. Golden Knights have 8 goals, 3 goals for the Wild. That's just this, So, I mean, it just seems like the Wild are not able to do it. Then a 4-0 game, right? So that's 12-3.
Yeah.
In the last 3 games.
Yeah.
So 12 goals to 3. That's and a shutout in there in one of those.
Yeah.
So yeah, Minnesota made the playoffs, and that's great. And if they would have gotten the St. Louis straw instead of the Vegas straw,
Yeah.
I think it would have been a better matchup, and they might have had a better chance of winning against St. Louis because they played St. Louis a little better. But when you're dealing with the Vegas Golden Knight juggernaut, that's tough sledding.
Yeah. No, it's don't sleep. I'm not sleeping on Colorado at all. I think that would just.
Oh no.
That's going to be a beast of a series. I just think that Colorado's still a little bit green, and without Kadri, I know that Kadri hasn't played fantastic, but when you're talking about JT Compher as your second line center, the biggest strength that Colorado had was up the middle to begin with, and now it weakens it. Colorado's overall team, though, can still definitely win that series. It's going to be very close. I just think one more year for Colorado. One more year. Fleury, of course, it always comes down to goaltending, right? But, I mean, Fleury can just steal a series all by himself. More players have been there in the Vegas lineup than Colorado, and so I'm kind of leaning Vegas in that way. But what a series that'll be.
I see what you're saying, and I get what you're saying. I understand it, but I really think that this team matches up much better with Vegas than any other team. And I think that Colorado has the offense to combat that in as far as that's concerned, because the strength of Vegas is their defense and their goaltending, and the strength in Washington or in Colorado, I believe, is their offense and their goaltending.
And defense to a certain extent.
I mean, yeah, but then and then you also look at their special teams.
Both of these guys have top special teams. Both of these guys have top penalty kills. You know what I mean? They've got a stacked lineup. They've got good goaltending. They've got good defense all the way around. This is going to be like the most exciting hockey to watch, period.
You would think so.
I don't care who you are. This is going to be some of the best hockey to watch right here.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I also think that Vegas at this point just has more of an understanding of what it takes to win in the playoffs. They're heavier than Colorado in a lot of ways. Wait till Bowen Byram gets another year in them. Guys like that, Timmins, stuff like that on defense. Offensively speaking, I mean, you got McKinnon that could crush it himself. And
he had 31 goals this year. I mean, all right. I mean, that's right up there with Matthews and everybody else.
Yeah, and think about this. Colorado has cap room for days next year.
Exactly.
This could be this could be a dynasty really, really quick.
The only thing that I have concerns about with Colorado is once you get past Grubauer.
Oh yeah, if they got to go to a backup, they're done.
Right.
They're done.
That's the only thing I would say that's going on with Colorado.
Yeah.
If they fill that hole next year, they are definitely going to be unstoppable. But that's the only weakness I see right now with this Colorado team. The only weakness I see with the Vegas team is they need scoring.
You're going for the Habs? You're picking the Habs? Oh gosh, my friend.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you need to sit down, maybe get somebody take your temperature or something.
That's CL. CL says, "Let's go Habs."
Yeah. CL, the Philadelphia Flyers fan, is going for the Habs for reasons I don't really know why, but you know,
I thought Montreal was really good out of the gates this year. They didn't. Their first 12 games, they didn't have a regulation loss, and I was like, I thought that was impressive, especially coming out of the gates like that. But then after that, man, the tires just fell off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the fact that Montreal's even in the playoffs, I think they're lucky that they're there.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the points that they scored, and all the other divisions, they wouldn't have made the playoffs if they were in any of the other divisions with those little amount of points.
Yeah, I don't think they make the playoffs in the East by a long shot.
Right.
Like, no way. Philadelphia is a better team than they are.
Yeah, that's saying something, man, because Philly this year just stunk up the place.
Yeah, but they probably would have been better than Montreal. Maybe, I could be wrong about that, but they're about the same as Philadelphia at best. I would say...
Right now, yeah.
I would say that they were about as good as Philadelphia this year. And Calgary, Ottawa. Ottawa played beastly in the end. They turned it on in the end. They looked like a good team in the end, but they struggled early because they're a young team. Vancouver just got it was just unfortunate, all the stuff that happened to Vancouver. Having that terrible this beginning of their schedule, then COVID, it just wasn't even fair, right?
Right.
And then Calgary was just Calgary.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Like, that division was pretty poopty, and they were pretty fortunate to make it in.
I mean, when the lowest team in like the other divisions are scoring 70 points, like the fourth place team scored 70 points, right? Then guess what? You're a fourth place team. You didn't even score that many points. You're not even making it.
Yeah. They were pretty fortunate, for sure. And now with Montreal, after they lose to Toronto, and they will, now where do you go from here? You've got a $10 million Carey Price, who hasn't played for Carey Price apart from the playoffs last year for a little bit, and maybe a game or two in this series for 2 years. By the way, I was looking at. I'll go look at that afterwards. Let me go back to Montreal. You're fortunate enough, you got Suzuki and Kotkaniemi. That is the saving grace for the Montreal Canadiens right now. Suzuki, Kotkaniemi, and Cole Caulfield. They have to let those kids grow and just hope the heck that all the rest of the guys that they acquired can hold it together.
Yeah.
Anderson
yeah.
It's weird. It's like usually you get those Caulfield go and you build a team around them with veterans that you don't expect to be there till later. Montreal builds around them with veterans they're hoping are going to be okay by the time they're good enough. You see what I mean?
That's not the way you do it.
That's
not
not the way you do it.
No. That's kind of putting the horse before the cart there a little bit, I think.
They could end up being okay. Like they could come up smelling like roses as long as they don't screw around with this anymore. Because Suzuki can be great next. Suzuki, go. Stop.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. They have potential. I mean, the potential's there, so it's.
Suzuki can be great next year. Caulfield, we've seen what Caulfield can do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the potential is there. They have to shore up their goaltending, get a little bit better defensively, and come out swinging. We'll see how it comes.
That's the biggest problem. How do you shore up their goaltending? You got a $10 million on Price. It's not like you can trade him somewhere and get.
And Allen hasn't been all that great either.
Well, he's not going to be there. Probably.
That's what I mean. So.
He's not a number one goaltender. He never was a number one goaltender.
No, I don't think so either. But either way you slice it, I still think that Montreal is on a long uphill climb here, not just in this series, but once they get to the off season, things are going to be a little different for them this year too.
Who knows what Bergevin's going to do now? There's one guy that. And he gets a 3-year contract. I'll never understand what the heck he did for that owner's whatever. I don't even want to know. I probably
that's not for us to know.
That would not be a book I'd want to read, I don't think, for whatever.
There you go. I'd have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I would be like somebody telling me what he did to still be there today. I'd have to close my ears and do the la 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 thing. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to
hear it. I'm with you on that. I don't think I'd want to hear that either.
Is Marc-Andre Fleury? He'll be in tonight. And somebody said that Spencer Knight was not confirmed, but he is likely. He's likely, and usually likely is for sure. There's pretty sure that he's going to be in. Anyways, did we talk about all the series?
Yep.
We did. Okay,
yep.
Good. We'll get more into picks tomorrow. I just wanted to it's getting to that point where I wanted to talk about every series that just happened because we had a couple days off from it, and it's getting to that nitty-gritty all over here with these playoffs. It's fun.
Second round, man, coming up here shortly.
Tristan Jarry on. Yeah, who else are they going to put in though? They've only got Lagasse, who was not. No, absolutely not. So they'll confirm them eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
wow.
Thanks. Are you going to be on tomorrow?
I don't know about tomorrow, but definitely Wednesday.
Payton's coming on Wednesday, you said, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if we'll have anybody else on tomorrow.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
E-Money said he came in. He'll be here next Monday. That'll be cool.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Cool.
And
looking forward to that.
I'm sure...
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around and checking us out. Please hit the like and subscribe. You can check Pearlo out on the web at www.steelflyers.com/links/NHL Pearlo Wisdom.
By the way, 11,000 people thought they'd check that out last month, right?
How about that? 11,000 hits for the website. Thank you all very much.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
thank you very much for checking out that website. And there's a reason why 11,000 people checked it out, because it's cool. It's growing. It's going to be incredible. It already is pretty cool. It already is very cool. And you guys are the reason why we do it. We love you guys. It's awesome that you guys keep coming.
Very much so.
You guys are so fortunate, because you're going to be able to say we were the originals. And I'm always going to remember you guys. You guys are always going to be Bill T, CL, Doug Reed, and all those guys like that. You guys are always going to be the originals, and no matter who comes in here, I'm going to be like, yeah, but Bill T was right here from the time we had like 12 people, right? We should get like bobbleheads for all of them. When we got when we got like 1,000, we're going to make bobbleheads for all of you. Or, well, I'd like to. That would be amazing.
There you go.
I'll get a bobblehead wig one too.
Oh, no. Yeah, we need a bobblehead wig. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everybody, for checking us out, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, we will be back here tomorrow from 3 to 5, whoever is going to be here, and we'll be talking. We'll be doing more picks tomorrow. I just wanted to really get a series rundown here, because we haven't really delved into it, and it's about halfway through, and a lot of exciting stuff is going to happen. Not to mention, I really wanted to talk a lot about